Howdy, my name is Thomas Luller, and this is my video defending my manufacturing procedure for the umbrella. Now, to start off, I decided to choose my manufacturing method 1. Now, this method consists of the shaft, in which we can use profile extrusion. Now, the reason I chose profile extrusion is because of its ability to produce a uniform cross-sectional area part. This is very efficient using extrusion because it's a relatively simple process in which we just extrude a thermoplastic. It'll allow us to give us some design flexibility in order to add a spine, which we can then slip on a runner and a notch, which are the parts that move and open the umbrella and have the spines connected to them. Profile extrusion will allow us to cut at a very uniform distance, so all of our shafts will be uniform in dimension. This is also beneficial because we can add pigmentation into it and have it to the desired color that we want for the end user. This is opposed to using a wooden dowel, which I chose for manufacturing process 2, where we would outsource a wooden dowel. I think it'll just be more cost effective and it'll take away some labor costs because with a wooden dowel you would have to sand it and then stain it to whatever color you want, and it's just not as uniform and not as precise as extrusion would be. For the handle, I decided to use a CNC lathe. The CNC lathe will allow us to put some geometry into the handle to allow it to be more ergonomic. A CNC lathe can create a uniform part all the way across, is what you're kind of looking for in a handle. It can be semi-automatically produced. It does take a technician, but you can run a single code to go and cut multiple pieces on a CNC lathe specifically, not a manual lathe. It'll create a structurally sound part, and they'll all be uniform in dimension as well. From here, we can go to the notch and the runner. These parts are geometrically complex, so I wanted to use a manufacturing method such as injection molding in order to perform this. The parts are rather small, so other manufacturing procedures would be hard to do. Injection molding has a really high cycle time, so we can produce both of them in a family mold, where we'd only have to do one cycle in order to produce both of them at the same time. It gives us quick production rates. We can use a material like polypropylene due to its ease of manufacturing, and we can also, again, use pigmentation to color it to our desired specifications. The ribs will be made out of metal. The ribs can only really be made out of metal due to their strength requirements. So for this, I decided to use a wire drawing of steel. It can be drawn out as any wire would be using a series of dies, and then once it is into our desired length, we can cut it, and then we can use a hydraulic system to press down on either end and then punch out holes on either end that can then be attached to the notch and runner to secure it in place. After the ribs, we can move to the canopy. The canopy will outsource the fabric. We'll bring it in-house, lay it out, and then we can use a laser to cut it out, taken that the sheet isn't combustible. The laser can go in, precisely cut it out, increasing efficiency because it's not man out, like a human doesn't have to cut it. And then it can be hand sewed into its shape and then stretched over the frame and attached. From here, the last component to our production is the cap. Now, the cap can be made out of compression molding. Compression molding will allow us to make parts using like a thermoplastic, where we can just put in the polymer, compress it into shape. It's used very often in electrical equipment. for knobs and dials and stuff, and the cap is essentially that as well. It's just kind of a piece that goes over to retain the notch at the very top and prevent the ribs from going out. It also adds aesthetics, so with a thermoplastic, we can add color into it to make it to our desired specifications. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you, and have a great day.